What's up, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of Bets and Ball Games for Southeastern 16. We are brought to you by MyPerfectFranchise.net and Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC and MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. What's happening, Jay?
Not much, my man. Not much. Just trying to – we've got a sneaky good Thursday night game again this week. But huge –
Oh, NFL?
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very good NFL one. Yeah.
The huge weekend across the SEC, and the playoff rankings are nuts. And you can't help but wonder – the SEC is not going to get 5 in the top 12. Who's going to be left without a chair when the music stops?
Texas, if they lose one of these next 3, and they're on upset alert this weekend, I believe. All right, let's start with the good, bad, and the ugly from last week, week 11, I believe so.
Sounds right.
Yeah. All right, you go ahead.
The good for me is the 96 or so hours Lane Kiffin had from winning, beating Georgia, a signature win for him in Hotty Toddy land. And then Tuesday came news that he flipped the best player in the state of Mississippi, a 5-star wide receiver from Alabama. That's a pretty good handful of days right there.
Didn't he flip another guy this week? Or
I flipped 2? I know the 5-star. Right. I think his name's Cunningham. I know he was an Alabama commit, and he flipped him this week. And they're in the playoffs on Wednesday, or winning the announcement Tuesday night that they're currently in the top 12.
Yeah, no, good week for the Lane train and for the Rebels. And yeah, all right, my good. I got to go with Jalen Milroe and Alabama. And it became pretty clear that Jalen Milroe has not been healthy, had been dealing with a rib injury for a couple of weeks, but the open date got him healthy, and he looked like the Jalen Milroe we saw throughout September, after he kind of, or definitely struggled in October, but he was dealing with a rib injury. Only 12 of 18 for 109 yards passing, but 12 rushing attempts, 185 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Alabama deals out a 42-13 pimp slap. And for all the consternation we've had in Tuscaloosa over the last couple of months, now all they got to do is take care of their business here in the next 3 weeks, and they seem destined to go to the CFP, and in the next 3 weeks, they have the Mercer Bears in Tuscaloosa, at Oklahoma, and Auburn at home. So they will be double-digit favorites in all 3 of those. So, and for some of these teams, I wonder, is it better that they not go to the SEC championship game?
I think there's a real conversation in that. And excuse me. Here's the other thing. If you don't go to the conference championship game, it means you're not going to be one of the top 4 seeds, because those are reserved for conference champions. But Alabama's got as good a resume as anybody in the country in terms of quality wins, especially when you add in this latest one. I mean, they've got to win over Georgia. They got to win over LSU. I mean,
South Carolina wins aging very, very well.
It's aging quite nicely. Think about it this way. How much more valuable? I know you don't get the extra rest, but if you finish in the seeds 5 through 8, you're talking about a $10 million payday, because you're hosting a home game. And if Bryant Denny's open one extra Saturday and they can get 100,000 people in there and charge them whatever the heck they want for tickets, you're talking about a $10+ million payday when these athletic departments are looking for every revenue stream they can possibly find.
Yeah. Now it's going to be odd though if a team that goes to the SEC championship game and loses, or the team that does lose that game, gets left out of the CFP for a team that it finished higher than in the SEC. That'll be. I guess we would just have to see who it is and look at their resumes and then determine whether it's fair or unfair, what have you.
And the
All right.
tiebreakers are nuts because you've got so many of these teams who have played. Because there's several scenarios that have like 5 2-loss teams in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. And in their scenario, did I hear this or did I pull it out of my rear end that there's a possibility of an 8-team tie in the SEC with all two losses? I feel like somebody said that. Anyway,
it's nuts.
Your turn with the UGLY.
No, I'm gonna go bad.
I'm sorry.
And bad on this one is the looming possibility of Nico Imaliava not playing this week in a game that Tennessee has to. I mean, I think we've overused this term because nobody's really eliminated yet. But doesn't Saturday in Athens feel like an elimination game for these two teams?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it is. Or wait, how many losses? Does Tennessee only have one loss?
Yes, but they don't have
they don't have the
swirling resume.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be for Georgia, right? I mean, 3 losses.
But they pimp slapped Texas.
Right.
And pimp slapped Clemson.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of football left. A lot of things to happen. Were you done talking about Nico?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with my bad. And my bad is going to be Carson Beck. And let's just give the Georgia Bulldogs team in general a little love in this as well. It's not all on Beck, but Beck last week, 10 points. I think they scored on their first drive. Yeah, they did score on their first drive. So they go basically, 3.5 and change quarters with merely a field goal. And Beck was awful yet again. Now only 1 interception last week, but less than 200 or 186 passing yards. He now in the last 3 games, or I'm sorry, in the last 4 games, he has thrown 9 interceptions compared to only 5 touchdowns. And if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, you'll have a hard time convincing me Florida doesn't beat Georgia. And he threw 3 picks that game, and Florida hasn't been causing turnovers since 2019. He is really struggling. He's costing himself millions, if not tens of millions of dollars here the last couple of months. And he better get it together quick or else it's going to be a really, really disappointing season in Athens.
The biggest takeaway for me is, and you referenced it, is how much money has this guy just thrown away over the last 2.5 months? Because coming into this, not only was he a short list Heisman name we all bandied about, but he was penciled in as a top 10 quarterback pick.
Potential number 1.
In a very bad quarterback draft. I don't know. I saw The Athletic released its top 50 prospect list, which is different than all mocks and whatever else. There are only 4 quarterbacks in it, and none are ranked higher than Cam Ward, who is 16th. Georgia has 3 defensive players in the top 8 of the prospect list. Jalen Milroe's 22. Shedeur Sanders is 23. And then Garrett Niedermeyer is 30.
All right. So ugly for you, or is it my turn?
My ugly, and listen, our show's love for Diego Pavia knows no bounds. I mean, we are Team Diego all the way. But Diego's now been in college as long as John Blutarski was in the Delta House with Otter and Boone and the rest of those clowns. And now he's trying to sue the NCAA to get back 2 years of eligibility that he spent at New Mexico Institute of Higher Learning and Sheep Farming. So a junior college somewhere that I'll never visit. But so this is just, I mean, good gravy. And I understand why Diego Pavia wants more eligibility, because at 5'10", he's not going to be in the league. But so this is the most money he's going to make playing football right now. And any extra years, it makes all the sense in the world. But he also then followed it up Saturday with probably his worst game, and probably Vandy's worst game, against a South Carolina team that you have pegged from very early on with that front seven.
Yep. That front seven's nasty. All right, my UGLY is that framer of a picture when Florida was down 42 bagel at Texas, and they had Scott Strickland on the sidelines, and they had it in like a graphic with a little box with his quote about keeping Billy Napier, and it was 24 hours or less than 24 hours, or about 24 hours after. So his two prize hires at Florida are Todd Golden, who has yet to win an NCAA tournament game and is now facing a Title IX investigation based on a quote-unquote unnumbered, unknown amount of women are accusing him of sexual harassment and stalking and all kinds of crazy stuff, that if half of it's true, he needs to be fired yesterday. And then Billy Bob's getting beat 42-0. 48. Oh, and not, that was cute, Strickland, how you knew that the alligator story was dropping on Friday about Golden. So you gave Billy Bob the vote of confidence and let Gator Nation know that Billy's back. By the way, side note, Billy's 15-19. That's his record. But against Power 5 competition, and I say Power 5 instead of Power 4 because Oregon State, boat racist in 2022. 10-19 with 12 L's by double-digit margins at a time when a new football-only facility, $85 million and change, considered one of the best in the country, at a time when you can turn a roster over with the portal like you've never been able to do before, at a time when the University of Florida has invested more in his staff, on the size of it, the amount they're paid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he is the worst flipping coach, quite literally, by all the numbers that we've had since the 1940s. And Scott Strickland wants to keep him around. And by the way, that's not done yet. With this Golden stuff, Strickland being fired, which I've been screaming for 3 years, it's got to be on the table. It's got to be.
It has
to be.
The also Brent Venables got a vote of confidence from his AD in
dreaded vote of confidence.
And is there a more oxymoronic thing in sports? Because when they give you the vote of confidence, it's like they're saying he's going to get fired soon.
Well, I hope that's what Strickland did to himself, and we just fire Strickland and then fire Billy Bob. But what a mess. I mean, Florida sports has never been as down and pathetic, and it's such a joke.
And there's no excuse for it. I mean, Florida. It's too talent rich a state. It is cares too much about sports. And think about. I mean, it's inexplicable, to be quite honest. And to your point of needing to move now, somebody's going to go to Bloomington, Indiana, and get your boy Kurt and come bring him along, and he's going to go to a power gig that then's going to take him off the table. What kind of home run hire would that be right now with what Indiana's doing?
For
And
Florida
his
or anybody?
and all of it. I mean,
Yeah.
his Google me, I went everywhere. I mean, the Gators would love that dude.
Oh, God, I love him anyway, but I want him to be my coach so bad. So bad. Okay. Are you tired of working for the man? Are you an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify? We talk about betting a lot here. Are you wanting to bet on yourself, be your own boss? If so, let me tell you about our guy, Andy Ludecke, and his business, myperfectfranchise.net. Now, Andy had it with corporate America a decade or so back. He was married, had a kid, another one on the way. He wanted to start his own business, and he did just that. And Andy's a great guy. He just wants to help people, and he decided to start this business where all he does is help people. It's a website called myperfectfranchise.net. Here's how it works. You set up a 1-hour intro call, 100% free. You tell Andy about your passion, your skills, your goals, the time and money you have to invest in this endeavor. And Andy's going to figure out what sort of business fits your DNA. He's going to register you with potential franchises. He'll find the best franchise that suits the vision and corporate culture you want. And before you know it, Andy's going to have you making greenbacks galore. So what are you waiting for? Reach out to our guy, Andy Ludecke, myperfectfranchise.net, 404-973-9901. Again, that's myperfectfranchise.net. Give our boy, Andy Ludecke, a call. All right, let's start in Fayetteville, Texas, at Arkansas. And loyal listeners and Jay will remember when we were talking Arkansas and Texas back in the summer, we talked about how this was going to be a very advantageous spot for the Razorbacks coming off an open date to prepare and to get healthy. And they have won the last two head-to-head meetings with their old school Southwest Conference rivals and absolutely shellacked them in week 2 in 2021. The 15th ranked Longhorns came in and took a 40-21 backyard ass beating from the Hogs as the Hogs were 6.5 point home underdogs. And so these teams are going to meet at noon Eastern, and that is going to be on ABC. And right now, Bet Online has Texas. Oh, it's down to here we go. Here we go. I say it every week. Here's with the Thursday line movement. And if you didn't get Arkansas at 13.5 or 14, you've made a mistake. Bet Online has Texas at 13 with a total of 57.5. However, there are other books such as the Westgate Superbook, such as Circa, and such as South Point, all in Las Vegas, that are down to 12. So here comes the Razorback money, and the Hogs on the money line are plus 420 at Bet Online. All right. Before I give it to Jay for some thoughts, let me tell you about how Arkansas, in their 14 games as a double-digit underdog under Pittman, they are 10-4 against the spread with 2 outright wins, and they are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games as double-digit underdogs. And they get Jaquindon Jackson back this week. He was probable on the injury report that came out last night. So was Talon Green. So those are two very, probably their two biggest playmakers, with apologies to Andrew Armstrong. And so both are probable. Jackson has missed the last 2 games since getting banged up against LSU, but he was killing it in September and early October. He has 592 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, 5.7 yards per carry average, and 11 catches for 125 yards. As for Texas, Maurice Blackwell, linebacker, and edge rusher Colton Vasek are both doubtful. Blackwell, 21 tackles on the season. All right. What are you thinking here, Mr. Greeson?
Well, I think your first sentence is spot on. If you did not get this at 14, then I don't know.
You like that spill? Sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, it's did a nice water spill all over my shirt there.
The snooze you lose postulate, and it's weird because the Thursday line move, you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. We do this show on Thursdays during football season, and it's 100% real. I mean, I don't know if it's just on the injury report that is released Wednesday night. I don't know if it's because it's top of mind, and that's when folks start putting their money down. Speaking of putting the money down, David Purdom, who covers gambling for ESPN.com, does a great job. He wrote that the month of September this year was the best ever for Vegas sports books.
Really? And I know they had one of their worst weekends ever, but that might have been more than a month ago. Or are you talking about the whole month of October? Or?
No, the whole month of September.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
the whole month of September, they cleared almost $81 million in profit.
Nevada or
yes, the Nevada sports books, and 55 million of that was on football, and it's because of games like this. It's because of Texas, Arkansas. I mean, a whole bunch of the public is gonna lay the number, and I think Pittman's desperate. I think this spot is ideal for everything Razorback. Texas gets bumped up higher in the rankings. That place is going to be hopping. I like some other games more than this one, but there's no way I'm laying that many points with a feisty, desperate home football team.
I agree. I'm on Arkansas. I got 14 early in the week, and I like my position. And look, I mean, I know they got run out of town by Ole Miss. Ole Miss might be the best team in the country, and I don't care if they've lost 2 games that they should have won.
They very well might be the best offense in the country.
Yes, and they hadn't had Trey Harris for how many games? 3 games in a row, and he might be the best receiver in the country. So, so we are both on the Razorbacks. So now let's go to Gainesville, where it's an absolute shit show, as Florida is going to take on LSU at 3:30 Eastern on ABC, and our friends at Bet Online currently have LSU at -4 with a total of 55, and the Gators are plus 165 on the money line, and I will let Jay have at it first.
This one, I've got like 3 or 4 gambling maxims, if you will, just things that have proven through the years, and one of them is lines that look too good to be true almost always are, because honestly, without knowing the line until this morning, if you'd asked me on Tuesday how many is LSU favored by, I would have said at least twice this, and I could see double digits. Because I know they both got blown out last week, but I'm sorry, LSU, this just doesn't compute to me.
So I wrote down without Lagway, LSU -12. With Lagway, LSU -5. But Lagway was questionable last night. So was Montrell Johnson. It seems like I kind of think Lagway's going to play. But now let's remember, it's a hamstring. He's not going to be as mobile. He's not going to be Jalen Milrowan like Jalen was Milrowan last week. It's not going to be that type of DJ Lagway, but he's going to be way more effective than the other kid if he can just stand back there and sling it.
Did you just use Milrow as a verb?
I sure did.
Well, I like that you added the
that was on purpose
in the back of it. I mean, if you're going to Milrow, then you might as well Milrow. I mean, So it's a tough mill road to hoe. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So
No,
okay,
I love LSU. I love LSU here.
yeah.
I think Florida's about to pack their tents. And if Lagway is not only if he's limited, that's bad enough. But if he doesn't play, this is an ass beating.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not just Lagway who's banged up. I mean, Florida, both of their starting corners are out, and the backup DBs are not healthy, and we're getting absolutely destroyed last week. And Montreal John, I mean, well, first off, or Mertz, Lagway, Eugene Wilson out for the season. Montreal Johnson has not played since the Tennessee game. Those are Florida's four best players on offense, with apologies to our center, Jake Slaughter, who should be first team All SEC. He's the highest graded center in the country per Pro Football Focus. But now our starting middle linebacker.
That's a great name for a lineman, Jake Slaughter.
Yeah,
I mean,
right?
he sounds like a badass.
Yeah, I like him. Okay, now our starting middle linebacker, Grayson Howard, is also out. And Elijah Badger, one of our better receivers, is questionable. He missed last week's game. And our starting offensive lineman, Damian George, missed last week's game, and he's questionable. So, I mean, it's a mash unit for Florida. LSU's got the head coaching advantage. I don't even want to look up how many years in a row they've beaten us. It's been 5 or 6. And
you also got to think Brian Kelly's probably a lot more motivated this week after Alabama delivered destruction.
Yeah, and it seems like the natives are restless in Red Stick, but I mean, hey, I'll take him. Sign me up for B. Kelly.
Did you see some sort of crazy rumor that Saban was going back to LSU this week on the interwebs? I mean,
that sounds like an interweb.
Clickbait, whole conspiracy theory.
He had so much fun in Red Stick last week that he's coming back for good.
Hey, that show's never been better. McAfee sitting in the middle of College Game Day now has really elevated. He is the tide that has lifted all boats. I mean, that show's fun again.
But but Sabes, chill out, Sabes.
Seriously.
Chill out, Sabes, with the defending Billy Bob Napier. Seriously, bud. I know he used to be on your staff, but he's horrible. I don't give a shit if you're the GOAT. Billy Bob sucks, period. And Sabes, get my alma mater at it. Well, actually, you can bash him.
This is me giving you virtual hugs. Come on now. Come on.
I don't want a freaking virtual hug. I don't want any hugs. Until Scott Sprinkle's fired, I don't want any hugs.
You need somebody to hold you.
Timeout. Did you ever find out what happened on the airplane on the way to Houston for the Auburn basketball team?
No.
Come on. You don't know? No? We just know that Chad Baker Mazzara was right there in the middle.
Man. That guy's as good an instigator as there's been in college hoops since your boy Noah. I mean,
so nobody. So I guess Pearl did Pearl even comment on it? I haven't
weekend got crazy busy.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it either.
But I do know this: they're delivering pimp slaps to all comers.
That's a nice win against Houston. And Alabama is not looking as great. I mean, we're only 3 games deep.
Kentucky looked good against
who? Oh, God. Kentucky looked really good. But back to the Alabama thing just real quick. Arkansas State's going to go to the tournament, and they're going to win the Sun Belt. And McNeese State's going to go to the tournament. So those aren't two, just garbage, low majors that they were playing. And I'm sure Alabama will be fine. Anyway, back to football. Okay, I wanted to point this out.
I got one more thing. We're talking about this because you mentioned McNeese State.
Go ahead.
What happens, and we talked about lawsuits earlier, what happens when Will Wade sues the NCAA for lost earnings and defamation of character for being run out of Red Stick on something? Now everybody makes strong-ass offers.
Right.
So, I mean, now it's completely legal.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, but I'm not losing sleep over Will Wade's
That
earnings.
dude can coach now. That guy, and he was in
Coach.
Chattanooga before he went to LSU, and we had it, and I talked to him almost weekly for a while I was still doing that radio show. That dude, an impressive basketball mind.
How
But
long? So he was with the Mocs before he went to VCU and then LSU.
yes, he was on Shaka Smart's staff at VCU.
Came
Came
to
to UTC to be the head coach, then went up there and then went to
replace Shaka.
Redshirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
Shaka Khan. Shaka
right.
Khan.
Shaka. All right. So Jay likes LSU. I'm not against that. If Lagway's out, I definitely like LSU up to like -10. But one more thing. If Lagway plays, I think I like the over. Florida's secondary is all banged up, and I think Nussmeier is going to have a big game. And Florida's been running the ball well. I think that if Lagway plays, I think Florida's going to score some points too. And the over is hit in 3 straight for the Gators. Combined scores of 68, 54, which would be under. The total's 55. But the Texas game had 66. So I like LSU if Lagway does not play. And if he does play, instead, I like the over. Not a huge opinion, but that would be the way that I will go. All right, 4:15 p.m. Eastern. Somehow our season win total bet, which is inevitably going to die on the Missouri Tigers, but it is still alive for another week for now. But I think it's going to die in Columbia because last night, the injury report, Brady Cook doubtful, Mookie Cooper doubtful. What a wild-ass game Oklahoma and Missouri was last week. And what a bad beat for under backers, as that total was, I believe, let's see here, 42.5. And it was 9-3 at halftime for 12 combined. It was 10-9 going. Actually, no, it was 10-9 with 9 minutes left. Would you have been okay with an under 42.5 ticket at that point?
Yeah, I'm feeling real good about right about then.
Yeah. Well, in the last 8:47, we had 34 combined points. A crazy good touchdown catch by Theo Weiss and 2 scoop and score touchdowns. Yes. So anyway, Missouri wins 30-23, but
We
they're
can't mention bad beats without the Cincinnati beating Duke in the Mayo Bowl.
sure.
That's as bad as there's ever been in my mind.
The Northwestern Ohio State, the pitchy woo woo was pretty bad. Northwestern was ahead of the number.
If we ever change the name of this thing, if we ever change the name or we go big time, I think pitchy woo woo needs to be in serious consideration.
We'd have to kick Van Pelt some profit or something.
Huh?
I don't want to kick SVP any profit. I'm sure he's got the trademark, him and Stanford Steve. Okay, so let's see. Missouri, South Carolina.
Love the Gamecocks here. Love the game. Coming home. They believe. Your boy Rocket Sanders is a dude
back.
now.
He's back in 2022 Rocket.
Yeah, he's a dude.
That burst is back.
And in not only, I mean, if you're Brady Cook, and I feel like obligated to keep up tradition here, unless they're going to give you some of those Auburn horse steroids, you don't want to see that front seven banged up as you already are. I mean, damn. And the last time they were at home, they pummeled A&M. I mean, what's the number here?
Oh, yeah. So BetOnline currently has South Carolina at 14. Now, it was 12.5 or 13 this morning. The total's 43.5. Missouri on the money line is plus 460. But here's a way that I am going to attack it. Well, I'm not against minus 14 for the game, but oh gosh, Bet Online's moved it to 7.5. I bet South Carolina minus 7 and a minus 105 price in the first half this morning, and well, Circa's still got it at 7. If you can still find a 7 in the first half, I like South Carolina. If it's 7.5, just go ahead and bet South Carolina for the game. So Jay and I agree, and that was a big time pimp slap South Carolina dealt out last week, and those boys are playing really good. They've won 3 in a row, both straight up and against the spread, and they woulda, coulda, shoulda beaten Alabama, and they woulda, coulda, shoulda beaten LSU, and they're just a couple of plays away from being 8-1 and right in the thick of the CFP race. And Lenore Sellers has chilled out on the turnovers, and if that guy's not turning it over, he's a baller. And Rocket Sanders is healthy again. And South Carolina, and the tight end Simon from Joshua Simon, I want to say he's a transfer from Western Kentucky. He is a big boy, and he's been playing really well lately. You got anything else on this one?
No, I'm Shane Beamer has got me believing in what he's cooking down there.
Yeah. Yes. And yeah. And Lenore Sellers, when he's not turning it over, he can play. All right. Let's we already mentioned the injuries. So yeah. All right. Let's go Tennessee at Georgia. So our good friends at Bet Online have Georgia currently, at 10.5. So if you like Tennessee, that's where you want to bet it at Bet Online, because that's the highest number I see on the board. The total's 47.5. There is a 10 at South Point, and everybody else looks like 9.5. The money line on the Vols is come on. Oh boy. Default. Come on. What's going on here? Okay. Not second half. All right, go ahead, Jay, with any analysis.
Well, I don't see a whole lot of paths for Tennessee here, and I see zero chance if Nico, who he's listed as questionable on the injury report from last night.
I don't think he's playing.
Head coach Josh Heupel, every time he gets in front of a microphone, he's very guarded about what he says about Nico, about his possibility of playing. There have been
reports. He's lying. Josh is lying. He's lying through his teeth.
He was in the concussion protocol. And man, oh man, you gonna throw somebody in there at night in Athens against maybe the most athletic defense in America and a team that is now with its back against the wall, fighting for every goal it had set for itself at the beginning of the year. 10 feels a little low, but if Nico doesn't play, and you can get it right now, because if they announce Nico's not playing, that number is going to go to 17.
Yeah, I think I made Georgia 7. I think that should be the number if Nico was healthy. Oh, and also Deontay Thornton, one of their better wide receivers, is also listed as questionable. So that's worth noting as well. So this Gaston Moore, who it's his 4th year in the program, 5 of 8 for 38 yards last week in relief against Mississippi State. But he has gotten very, very, very minimal playing time in his career. Overall this year, he's 16 of 25 for 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He only had 17 passing attempts coming into the year, no touchdowns and 1 pick. So 2 to 3 TDI-INT ratio for his career. Has not played much. Yeah, this line is going to balloon if Nico's ruled out, and I don't think Nico's going to play. But
you talked earlier in the good, bad, and the ugly about Carson Beck's struggles. No Nico, sketchy Carson Beck. Georgia's down to one scholarship running back. I think I read.
I smell a thunder under from Greeson.
I think this thing could very well be 19-6.
Yeah, what did I say? It was 47.5. I agree. Okay, yeah, I agree. This was going to be a pass for me because we don't know Nico's status, but yeah, under 47.5. That'll be my play. That's what I like. Okay, is that all? We got a lot of guys with the open dates.
Well, Auburn plays La Monroe, and they'll figure out a way to scare the bejesus out of me. That game will be. It's either going to be 71-6, or it's going to be like 28-24. Auburn's down with the ball and 3 minutes to play, because that's just my existence currently, and I'm resigned to it.
So currently, BetOnline has Auburn at 24.5 with a total of 46, and the first half line on Auburn is 14 with a total of 24. I will mention that this new head coach for ULM, Bryant Vincent, has done a heck of a job this year. And when they have been an underdog, let's see, 2-2, 3-2. They are 5-2 against the spread as an underdog this year, with 4 outright wins. So not bad. They have done well. Their quarterback, I haven't looked at a box score for them lately. If it's General Booty, that is a relative of many booties from the state of Louisiana, and that's not a sexual reference. We had a
You're
Josh
going Todd Golden on me. You're talking about many booties.
I'm talking about the Louisiana clan of BOOTYs that play quarterback in that state for many, many decades.
Including Josh Booty, who was national high school football and baseball player of the year, if memory serves.
Yes, that was the main one I was referencing, but I think there's a couple others, Cousins, etc.
Now, when they hug, do they say "grab a booty"? I mean, I'm kind of curious on. I don't know. I mean, that's Todd Golden's philosophy.
Well timed. Well done. Well done. All right, so we've got a lot of look-ahead lines from DraftKings that we're going to let Jay take a stab at. All right, we got Alabama at Oklahoma next weekend, when Oklahoma's coming off an open date. Alabama at Oklahoma, what you think?
19.5.
13. And by the way, Alabama, last look, was a 41.5-point favorite against Mercer. I have not seen a line on Kentucky against Murray State. Actually, it looks like DraftKings has Alabama 42.5 to Mercer with a total of 58. FanDuel had it 41.5 yesterday, but my odds I'm looking at doesn't have FanDuel. Okay, so Alabama's minus 13 at Oklahoma next week.
Love the Tide in that spot. Love the Tide. I love the Tide in that spot. If you can get it under 2 touchdowns, don't be afraid to pounce on that early next week.
I agree. Vanderbilt at LSU.
LSU
Vandy off
13?
the open date. Huh?
LSU 13.
LSU 11. Texas A&M at Auburn.
Aggies 12.
4.5. Look at that respect for that Jordan Hare venue.
Yeah, but we still have Peyton Thorne as our quarterback.
Might have somebody else next week. So Kentucky at Texas.
21.
Nailed it. And hey, I'll be on Kentucky at 21.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will be on Kentucky at 21.
I mean, coming off of Arkansas, and they get the layup that is Murray State, get healthy. Yeah, that's a prime Stoops moment right there.
Yeah. So this one should be fun. Ole Miss at Florida, noon Eastern at the Swamp.
I feel like it's going to be undervalued, and I'm really going to have to fight the urge not to go ahead and bet on Lane Train. 11.
God, nails back to back. 11 is correct. 11 is correct. Just for giggles, Indiana at Ohio State.
See, I think this one's going to surprise a lot of people. I'd say Ohio State 17.
11 and a half.
I think Ohio State's going to drop the hammer on Indiana.
Head coaching advantage to Indiana, though. And
but I mean,
rest advantage. I know they got more dudes.
I could coach Ohio State. That's how many dudes they have.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Okay, our non-SEC picks for the week. You want me to start, or you want to start?
I like the over tonight with ECU and
Tulsa.
Both of those teams have just been crucified of late. I am on Tulane, laying less than a touchdown at Navy. Tulane is averaging 50-plus points a game in its 6-game winning streak. And its only 2 losses are to Oklahoma and Kansas State.
Should have beaten K-State.
They should have beaten K-State. You're 100% right. Army's off, so I can't make money with them.
Take a guess at Army and Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx next week on that line.
Notre Dame 19.
15 and a half. Does that mean you're not going to bet Army next week?
No, I'm dancing with who brought
you. You ride with the horse that brung you. I hear you.
Until it throws me off.
I hear you.
I like Illinois minus less than a field goal against Michigan State because I think Michigan State sucks.
I agree on that one. I like Illinois -3.
And UCLA is playing its best football, and Washington is playing its worst. And while it still feels really strange that UCLA-Washington is a Big Ten rivalry game, I'll take the Bruins and getting 4 points over this Washington bunch.
All right, I'll go with Louisiana -7. The Raging Cajuns at home to South Alabama. The Raging Cajuns are 8-1 this year. Their only loss, a 1-possession game against Tulane. They've won 6 in a row since the loss to Tulane. They've covered 3 in a row. 6 of the Raging Cajuns' 8 wins have been by double-digit margins. Their QB, Ben Woolridge, 68.5 completion percentage, 2,301 passing yards, 17-4 TDI&T ratio. He can run it too, 199 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Louisiana has 3 different running backs with at least 412 rushing yards. They're 12th nationally in total offense, 25th in scoring, averaging 35.2 points per game. Now, South Alabama's got a stud quarterback in Gio Lopez. He's really good, but he got a concussion last game, had to leave, and did not return. But it's been 2 weeks, so I'm assuming he's playing. I scoured Twitter and the internet in general looking for Gio Lopez updates this morning and yesterday, and there was nothing to be found. So I'm going to assume he's playing, and I still like Louisiana because South Alabama's defense sucks. They're 123 out of 134 FBS teams against the pass. Louisiana -7. I'm also on Illinois -3. Like Jay, I'm on Cincinnati +9. Although the Bearcats lost last week, they out-first downed West Virginia 24-10. They out-yarded them 436-248. They out-time of possessioned them by nearly 10 minutes. And they're 3 plays away from being 8-1. Unfortunately, they're 5-4. But Iowa State has lost back-to-back games outright, 0-3 ATS slide. Give me the Bearcats +9. If your number's 9.5, buy the half point to 10. And then I know Kansas is a very popular public underdog this week because they are playing a lot better football, and a lot of their losses this year were complete heartbreakers. But I'm not turning down BYU minus 2.5 at home. They are 3-1 ATS at home. Kansas 0-4 straight up, 1-3 ATS in 4 road games. Give me BYU. NFL, I'm on the Commanders tonight, and what a heartbreaker last week. My first L on the Commanders. Still 7-1-1 ATS on the Commanders this year. And I'm
on the other side of that.
You're on the other side?
Yeah, I'm laying the number with the Eagles because I think, especially on a short week,
the home team's at the advantage on a short week.
One team played Pittsburgh in an out-and-out Donnybrook. The Eagles went to Dallas against a Dak-less Cowboys bunch.
Cowgirls.
And just walked them. So
I get that.
I think, especially on a short week, that's what points me towards the Eagles. And I got to ask you this. Normally we close talking about if you've got any grown men fighting in diapers, but are you at least intrigued by the baddest man on the planet when we were kids fighting Jake Paul this weekend?
Yeah, Jake Paul has fought a bunch of washed up MMA fighters that were not good strikers to begin with. I mean, he fought Ben Askren a year and a half after he retired, 6 months after he had a hip replacement. Ben Askren was the worst striker, but the best wrestler. He was an Olympic wrestler in MMA, and he fought Tyron Woodley after Woodley lost his last 4 by knockout and in MMA, and then he fights Paul. I mean, this guy thinks he's boxing. He's fought one boxer, Tommy Fury, and he lost. And now he's fighting a 58-year-old man. So, yes, I'm interested because I think Tyson could catch him in the first 2 rounds, and I hope he does, and I would love to see that.
And I get 240. I think the only play is praying that Mike Tyson lands an early just kill shot.
I'm not betting on it. I'm just rooting for Mike.
Man, there was a time that he was bigger than Jordan. Mike Tyson was it. I mean,
I've been saying this for decades. Every single time he fought, I'd had one goal. The opponent to survive round 1 so I could see that fear in his eyes before he went out there for round 2.
I mean, he was the closest thing to Clubber Lang in real life. I mean, golly. I mean, his fights were events, man. You can't really explain it to people who didn't live through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would come out with that cut towel and those black shorts, and he was the scariest son of a gun you have ever seen in your life. And everybody got a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Well, I think while that one's probably his most attributed quote, and everybody remembers when he said he was going to eat somebody's children. I think my favorite Mike Tyson quote was when he said he was going to knock somebody into Bolivia.
I made his fade off to Bolivia. That was a good one too. Jim Gray. He told Jim Gray that. Oh God, I had a Tyson story. Oh, darn it. I forgot. Okay. I'm also on Washington's team total over 22.5 tonight against Philly. They averaged 29 points per game. They've scored at least 23 in 7 of their last 8. And not to defecate on Jay's picks, but I will point out that, and I agree with your points on the Donnybrook with Pittsburgh and them skunking the Cowgirls. And it's a short week and they don't have to travel. I agree with all that. But Philly's 5-game winning streak against the Browns, 2-7, the Jags, 2-8, the Giants, 2-8, the Cowgirls, 3-6, but lost 4 in a row. And the Bengals, who are good, but 4-6. So 5-game winning streak against teams all with losing records. So just pointing that out. One UFC pick, Eric Anders, minus 115 or minus 120 to Chris Weidman, the former champ, who's totally washed up. Anders Has 2-1 in his last 3. The only loss was a fight of the night where he got a $50,000 bonus and was a close fight. And he's gotten sober in the last 14 months, which I didn't know. I was reading some quotes where he says he's in so much better shape, etc. So Eric Anders as a short favorite to Chris Weidman. All right. What else you got? Parting words?
That's it. And if you're reading about middle school girls basketball in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we had a fight between 2 middle school fan bases, and thankfully, I was not involved. So that's good news.
Did you witness it?
No, it happened apparently last night. The sheriff got called. They had to clear the gym. Oh, just rotten stuff.
Never know what's going down over there around Lookout Mountain, baby. All right. Last question for you. If you had to bet $100 one way or the other, will Scott Strickland and or Billy Napier be fired in the next 4 weeks?
4 weeks, no. 4 months. I think the golden thing is gonna cook Strickland's goose, but I don't think it's gonna play out as quickly as you would hope it happened in the next 4 minutes. But I don't think it'll happen in the next 4 weeks.
Okay. All right. We are sponsored by myperfectfranchise.net and Bet Online. It's Southeastern 16. And good luck with your bets. We'll talk to you next week. We are over and out.